Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're grabbing our virtual passports and heading south to a place famous for its vibrant energy, warm people, and incredibly rich culture. Okay, let's dive into this explainer and embark on a virtual day out in Brazil. Specifically, we're going to look at 4 everyday things that tend to just completely catch foreigners off guard. Imagine you've literally just touched down. The warm air hits you, you've grabbed your bags, and you're stepping out into this bustling, sun-drenched Brazilian city for the very first time. You're pumped, right? You're totally ready to soak in the culture. But almost immediately, you realize things operate just a little bit differently here than what you might be used to back home. So let's walk through what a typical day actually looks like so you're fully prepared.
Section 1. Arriving and saying hi. Our virtual journey begins the exact moment you meet up with a local friend, and right away, bam, we hit our very first major cultural surprise. In Brazil, the standard greeting isn't some stiff wave or a formal handshake. Nope, it's a kiss on the cheek. And this brilliantly illustrates a really fascinating geographical divide, because the protocol actually changes depending on exactly where you are. If you're in Sao Paulo, or honestly a lot of other places across the country, expect 1 kiss. But if you're down in Rio, you're gonna get 2. It's incredibly warm, it's super friendly, and yes, this happens even when you're meeting someone for the absolute first time. It just instantly anchors you right into that welcoming local vibe. Moving on to Section 2, getting around safely.
Okay, so the greetings are done, and now it's time to head out. You and your friend are getting hungry, so you need to catch a ride into the city to grab a bite. So how do you get there? Well, if you're thinking about just stepping off the curb and hailing a cab off the street, you might actually want to reconsider. See, most Brazilians honestly skip traditional taxis entirely. Instead, they lean heavily on rideshare apps. Uber is absolutely huge, or you can use a super popular local equivalent known as 99. Whipping out your phone and booking a ride is definitely the go-to move for getting from point A to point B. Now, what's really interesting about this is the simple logic behind why rideshares went out over the old-school taxi stand. It basically comes down to 3 massive, highly practical benefits. First off, you're generally looking at cheaper fares. Second, it provides a much safer experience overall. And third, you get to see the exact price before you even start your ride. Honestly, this winning combination makes everyone, locals who live there and foreigners visiting for the very first time, feel so much more comfortable navigating a bustling metropolis.
What brings us to Section 3, the dining experience.
All right, so your rideshare drops you off and you've safely arrived at this fantastic local restaurant. You sit down, you order a total feast, and you get ready to dig in. But brace yourself, because mealtime has its own unique set of rules. When your food finally arrives, you might notice something kind of distinct about how everyone around you is eating. Many Brazilians eat almost all their foods using utensils. We're talking a fork and a knife for literally everything. Yes, even pizza and French fries. I know. It can be a bit of a culture shock for those of us used to just grabbing a slice of pizza or a handful of fries with our bare hands. Now, to be clear, using your hands is technically okay to do, but don't be surprised if absolutely no one else in the restaurant is doing it. Using utensils for finger food is just totally normal here. So, you've finished your perfectly portioned, utensil-eaten pizza, and now it's time to wrap things up. The plates are cleared away, and the waiter brings over the check. And guys, this brings us to our final major surprise, and it's a really crucial one regarding gratuity. So the crucial point to remember here is 10%. Brazil does not have a US or European-style tipping culture, where you have to pull out your phone calculator at the end of the meal to figure out a 15 or 20% tip. None of that. Instead, the local custom actually relies on this standard percentage being added directly to your restaurant bill.
Let's break down exactly what that means. This is called the garçom fee, which literally translates to the waiter fee. It's a 10% service charge that's usually tacked straight on your bill. Now, technically speaking, this fee is optional, but practically speaking, most people just go ahead and pay it. It makes the math incredibly easy. You just pay the total on the bill with the garçom fee included, and tipping anything extra on top of that isn't expected at all. It's the whole shebang right there. Section 4. Ready for Brazil? Let's move to our summary and see how this builds into the bigger picture. Mastering these 4 simple, logistical, and social norms transforms you right out of the shoes of a confused tourist and into a totally confident, culturally aware traveler. Think about it. We've gone from stepping off the plane and greeting locals with warm cheek kisses to safely navigating the streets with rideshare apps, cutting our French fries with a knife and fork, and seamlessly settling the bill with the garçon fee.
So I want to leave you with this. Which would surprise you the most? Or have you experienced any of these in Brazil? Take a second to reflect on your own cultural expectations, because being prepared makes the journey all the better. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep on learning.